Picky is a group I have not heard of before, but they've got a song which is called 88888888. That's 88, in case you weren't quite aware. And it is a collaboration with the movie for Exit 8. Now, I literally have no idea what to expect, but this has been coming up a lot in my suggestions in my feed, and so I thought I'd check it out. The reason being is because obviously it's a tie-in, seemingly I think this is the theme tune for the movie The Exit 8, which is itself is an adaptation of a viral video game, like mini video game that came out that a lot of people were playing on the Steam platform here in Japan. I think it's also broken out overseas. It kind of spawned a whole new like subgenre of video games, which are based on like looking for small pattern recognition and anomalies and things. But basically, the reason why I'm so interested in this, and I'll make my way back to the song so we can do the reaction in just a second, is because of the fact that the game itself seemed like a really interesting idea, very atmospheric. And then the fact they spawned a movie out of a tiny little video game that takes about 30 minutes to complete was very intriguing. I'd seen some people like VTubers play the video game. It's very kind of interesting, very atmospheric. But then I heard the reviews of the movie were saying, it's really good. It's like the movie takes the atmospheric idea and then weaves an interesting plot into it that expands, that adds a character who really makes the story, builds an interesting story out of the premise that the video game sets in place. So there just seems to be a lot of artistic credibility. I've just like sort of opened an image search here. So you might have all seen some of these imagery for this. So there's like just the one creepy guy walking around. I don't know why they always go with this smiling image of him, which is a bit creepy. But yeah, there was a trailer for it, and then there's a movie, and the entire thing is just set in this one corridor. So you can imagine it's kind of an intriguingly simple premise, and I've always been a fan of movies that have like a simple premise that they expand upon, that they do something interesting with. So the idea that there's going to be a theme tune, and then, well, I'm assuming it's a theme tune, and then I see the thumbnail for it, and it basically looks like Idols. So I'm like, Idol music. I don't know, what is this going to be? Is it going to be like, because you take like the railway setting, is it going to be like Muzak? I don't know. I'm intrigued, but it's 2.5 minutes of this, and it would be remiss of me not to check it out, given that I am just instinctively very intrigued by what this is. So it's reaction time. Let's give it a little look and see what we think. This is Picky. Again, I've never heard of them. I will point out, although I've never heard of them, they do have nearly 100,000 subscribers. So if this goes well, I'll be getting them nearer to 100,000 subscribers. And let's just see what this is. Fingers crossed. Oh, okay, we're going creepy. It sounds like soundtrack music immediately. That kind of creepy club vibe almost feels like something out of John Wick. That's really interesting. Credit on the video as well. I just said counting up to 8 in case you don't know, in Japanese. The atmosphere in this is really cool. So these are the kind of like photo booths and vending machines you would see in like a station corridor here in Japan. Wow, this is actually really... The atmosphere in this is beautiful, but the fact they mixed it with this sort of dance music vibe, and I love that. I love that. Oh, and then you... Do you know... All right, here's an interesting thing. Just quickly say, I read an interview with the director, and the director claimed that one of the movies that had actually influenced him when he did this was The Shining. So the Shining reference at the end of this, I wonder if the director of the movie had anything to do with this particular little bit of a direction here, because as mentioned, yeah, The Shining was apparently one of his inspirations when he did this. And of course, that is definitely a reference to The Shining right there. So, okay, this is interesting. Now, like I said, I had no idea going into this what it was going to be. And, well, this is a really cool way to do it, because one of the biggest problems is when you're doing a soundtrack to something that is about a very minimalist setting, a minimalist story, the worst thing you can do is overplay it, do something too big, too theatrical, too dramatic. You need something that just kind of has that sort of small, very personal vibe. And so this, you've got like the dance beat in there, which kind of adds a sort of tension. I often say, like, you can have something with a big beat but still sound quite small and tense, because it's almost like it's adding that sort of rhythm, like a heartbeat in the background. So you've got that sort of charging along, sort of never ending in the background. But at the same time that that's going on, you've got this really interesting aspect of the vocals being very sort of quiet, almost like it's being whispered in your ear. There's something very minimalist about the vocals, which is super cool as well. And then you put this all together with a kind of a feeling that the song is sort of progressing, but in very delicate ways. Like, you notice at the end of the song, you had that chord pattern that was coming in here. So you hear like a synth in the background playing a chord pattern. And that synth is the first time that we get something which is more like a traditional song arrangement. Up until that point, it's all just kind of been like these slightly chanted words and this very sort of delicate, whispered sort of feeling of like tension, of like a real atmosphere. Even that synthesizer in the background, it's kind of got like a bit of almost a Blade Runner-y feeling. But this is very similar to how like so the game in question doesn't have a soundtrack, as far as I'm aware. I've never heard any music in it. But so having something like this, it definitely appeals to that small scale tension that the setting seems to be going for. And what's really intriguing here is that I do wonder, for considering this game went viral, considering this movie seems to be successful, so I'm assuming it will break out overseas as well. Given that factor, I wonder how much you have to be kind of familiar with what it's like walking around a Japanese station late at night, how much you have to get references like the thing with the photo booth, and then just the aesthetic of what a Japanese station looks like. These are things that I wonder how much that actually improves the enjoyment. The things like the posters, like one of the things is part of the game. As I mentioned, you're kind of looking for anomalies, looking for things that are off and that are weird, and there's posters on the wall, so you have to look at the posters to see if something's wrong with the posters, if they're abnormal in some kind of way. So the way they focused on that is really beautiful. I just get the feeling that this really does kind of understand the atmosphere that the movie's going for. And sorry, I've just noticed that while I was showing you this, I had slightly cropped the members off the screen. Apologies. There we go. Let's get some of that full width in there. So some of the aspects of this were really done, and recognizing things like a Japanese coin lockers, how they look in stations, as I say, the photo booth. I wonder if that adds to the atmosphere or not. But again, these sort of things like having the signs, like so here it's saying turn back, but what it's saying in the Japanese lettering here, Roku, Nana, Hachi. This is like 6, 7, 8. It's like the counting up is done there as well, and it's a big part of the video games aesthetic as well, is how the actual the environment is kind of influenced by everything. So in fact, is that? Oh yeah, it's even written in the lights. So you're kind of looking for anomalies in the video as well. Ichi ni san 08. That's cool. It's even written in the lights. I knew the lights were doing something weird, but I didn't notice they were actually spelling out in Japanese the numbers as well. So everything about the video is really nicely done. I think the song's got a minimalist aspect that works. Interesting enough, you might remember if you follow my channels, my videos regularly, you might remember that I did a video about a song that maybe you could consider similar, which was the Ado Jax Jones collaboration recently, and I didn't really like that hugely. It was a bit of a and one of my main reasons was it was overly minimalist. There just wasn't a feeling of anything. But for me, that was because there was this minimalist vibe, but it never built to a payoff. And by payoff, I meant you never really quite got. There was nothing emotionally conveyed. It was just like a beat. Whereas this, the emotion is weaved through the minimalism. It's minimalist because of that sort of quiet whisper, rather than someone singing loudly, waiting for the music to catch up with them. Here we've got the vocals are whispering because it's very personal, it's very close. The sounds are echoey because that feeling of like the voices are close to you, but they're also in this big space with this echo. It kind of paints an image that your brain can very viscerally take in. You can understand, even without seeing the video, without seeing the imagery, which is really cool. Even without seeing that, you can really feel from the palette of the sound what it's trying to convey. As I say, the closeness of certain sounds. Also, there's also this very sparse echoing distance to other sounds. It really creates that beautiful dissonance that kind of gives you the lonely vibe that the song is trying to convey, that the game tried to convey, and thus the movie in between, I think, is trying to convey. This is, to me, a beautiful little example of some great quality soundscaping underneath a song that could also be quite catchy. So yeah, credit. I think this is great. I think this is really cool. I don't know enough about the group to know what their other music is. This is one of those things where one of those songs that's so specifically so good at one sound and has done it with such a clear remit that it's working perfectly towards an end, that it's hard to judge from this what the rest of their material will be like. And so I will be very happy and excited to check it out, which is why I am going to get them a little bit closer to 100,000 subs. There we go. So yeah, I would definitely recommend, if you enjoyed this, go give them subs as well, get them a little bit closer to that goal. But yeah, hopefully the rest of their music picks up with a little bit of the same, not the same sound, but the same awareness of how to really create something that, if you like, pinpoints a target, you know, really really knows what it wants to convey emotionally and does so. So this was good. I really enjoyed this. Get in the comments always. Tell me what you think. Remember, we got a Discord below if you want to suggest more music or hear what other people's suggestions are and, you know, chat with people. And until I do hopefully see you either on the Discord or in the comments or in the next video here in Japan. Until then, for now, ciao, ciao.